So you need some receiver help. There's a bunch of receivers out there on waivers that you could go out there and get heading into Week 11. The first guy's Michael Pittman of the Indianapolis Colts, and the rookie Pittman, he came back last week in Week 9 and Week 10. He didn't disappoint. He was the leading receiver for the Colts once again. He finished with 19 fantasy points. He had a rush attempt for 21 yards and 7 catches, 101 yards, a lot of clutch plays, a lot of crossing routes him and Rivers were hitting on. And Pittman, he's better than T.Y. Hilton at this point, and I think he might be the true number one in Indy. Indy likes using the 3 running backs and the 3 tight ends, but Pittman is a receiver, the young rookie. He looks quick. He's got the height. He went out there and he got the ball, and he had a great ball game. So Michael Pittman, he's available in 90% of leagues, and he's a guy I would go out there and try to get this week. The next guy's Valdez-Scantling of the Green Bay Packers, and he exploded finally on the scene. We've been waiting for him for years now to have a big game like this, and he didn't disappoint. On 6 targets, he had 4 catches, 149 yards, and a touchdown, including a long ball for 76 yards. Scantling, he's out there in 83% of fantasy leagues, and what a week it was for him. And now the last 2 weeks, it's been 2 good games for him. The only thing with Scantling, the targets are going down, and the production ain't all there. But Scantling, he's had a good ball game now the last 2 weeks. He's got the Colts indoors coming up, so he's not a bad guy to go get. And this leads to the next guy, Allen Lazard of the Green Bay Packers. He's supposed to come back this week in Week 11. He had an outside chance in Week 10 to play, but I think they gave him the extra week. But he's going to be going now. He's been out since Week 3 with the core injury, and Lazard, he was making strides before the injury, but now he's been out 8 weeks. I think he's going to come back at Indy in Week 11, and he's out there still in a decent amount of fantasy leagues. He's out there in 58% of leagues. You know, he's part of a good offense with Rodgers, and he's a guy they're going to use. So right now, all the attention's on Adams, and we've seen Scantling now the last 2 weeks break out. But I think Lazard's a more talented receiver than Scantling. So if these guys are out there, if you could get either one of them, that's a good grab to go get. The next guy's Cole Beasley of the Buffalo Bills. He's a little lower on the list because of the bye week coming up here in Week 11. But once again, him and Allen in great rapport. Beasley, 13 targets, 11 catches, 109 yards, and a touchdown versus a good Arizona Cardinal defense. In one play, Beasley, he shook Patrick Peterson off the line, and he took it to the house for a touchdown on a nice slant route. Beasley's out there in 50% of leagues. John Brown, he got folded up on one play. So I don't know if he's out for a while, but it didn't look good for John Brown. Allen and Beasley, they've had a good rapport most of the season. Beasley had a big stretch of fantasy games from Week 3 to 7 with double-digit fantasy points. The last 2 weeks he didn't get it going, but here in Week 10, the 27-point fantasy day, got Beasley and the Bills going. But like I said, he's on bye, but still go out there and try to get him. He's available in 50% of leagues, so go get Cole Beasley. The next guy's Keelan Cole of the Jacksonville Jaguars. It seems like every other week this guy produces and don't. And in this game versus the Green Bay Packers, on 7 targets, he had 5 catches with a receiving touchdown, and if return touchdowns count in your leagues, he got you the extra 6 points for the return. So Cole, he looked like a good target to Jake Luton. DJ Chark, he didn't do much. Like I said, he was on my bench list, and I think I hit on that one with Chark. But anyway, Cole, all the attention's going to James Robinson and Chark. Cole, he's had a couple sneaky games this year. The last 2 weeks he struggled, but here in Week 10 he had a good game. And he's out there, Cole, in a bunch of leagues, 77%. So he's a decent ad. Jacksonville's got a decent matchup coming up versus Pittsburgh, where you know they're going to have to throw the ball a lot in garbage time or whatever. So Keelan Cole, he's a good guy to go out there and get on the cheap. The next guy's Josh Reynolds of the Los Angeles Rams, and he broke out and emerged. This guy, the last few years, he's had a couple games, and then he disappeared again. But Reynolds in this game, 8 catches for 94 yards on 10 targets. Goff, he was spreading the ball out in this game, but they couldn't score the touchdowns with Goff and the receivers. It was Henderson and Malcolm Brown scooping those up. But anyway, Reynolds now, the last few weeks, he's emerged. He's had 3 out of 4 double-digit fantasy days in his last 4 games, so the targets are there. they're playing more 3 receiver sets, and now he's got a game versus Tampa Bay in Week 11 on Monday Night Football, where that ball is going to be spread out, and they're going to have to spread that Tampa D out in probably a shootout it's going to be. So Reynolds, he's available in 95% of fantasy leagues. So I would go out there and get him. The numbers are there, the targets have been there, and he's a good ad. And the last guy is Jakeem Grant of the Miami Dolphins. Tua, he was looking for Grant early and often in this game. Grant, 5 targets, 4 catches, 43 yards, and a touchdown. 14.5 fantasy points. He's out there in 95% of leagues. We know Preston Williams, he's on IR with a foot injury, so Grant's going to have an expanded role. He's going to play a lot, and him and Tua, they got a good rapport, it looked like. Maybe they were on the practice teams in practicing together, because they got the good chemistry. They hit on a couple timing routes. So I like Grant as a back-end pickup if you in a pinch and need a receiver. So that's a few receivers I'm targeting heading into Week 11 of the waiver wire.